Ooh, hit something. Aloha, and welcome to 9th Island RC. As you can see, we got something special. Rlaarlo finally decided to send me their AK-917 1/10 scale speedrun car. I know a lot of people have been excited about these things. There's been a lot of talk since they made the official announcement. They sent out some pre-production versions to some of the big YouTube channels. And, you know, truth be told, their task was not just to have fun with it and do videos. They were also tasked with basically, you could say, becoming temporary Rlaarlo employees. Their job was to, you know, use the vehicles, find problems with the vehicles, report them back so that they could make changes. So for those of you who are, you know, ordering the car now, you know, that is why there is a delay for those getting shipped to you. So let's take a look and see what we got here. And we got something different. Okay, just kidding. So this is the Atomic SZ2, and you know, it's getting close to being finished. I will have a build overview video on that. I'm not gonna actually do a true build video, but I'm gonna do a build overview video that will be coming soon. So let's just kind of put that away, and we will bring in the actual AK-917. There it is in all its glory. These are going to be available in this incredible blue and orange, and then there's also a red and black version. Honestly, I think this one is just spectacular. What you see here is a fan, and from what I understand, the aluminum chassis versions don't have this. There's just a fake plastic part of the body, looks like a fan, but there's no actual fan for those. This, as you're going to see, is the carbon fiber version, and yeah, you notice some little scrapes and such on it. We're gonna get to that in a little bit as to what the reason for that is. You can see it looks really nice. I mean, there is virtually no play in the steering, and I can tell you in running it, once you get the steering trim adjusted, I mean, this thing does track straight. It is seriously straight. Honestly, I think they did an outstanding job. So just to give you guys a little quick view of the inside before I get to the second part of this video. There you can see all the gorgeous work. Now from what I understand, they did make some adjustments, so those you are ordering, yours is going to be, yours is going to be the same as this one, but it will be slightly different than the pre-production units that you saw in the YouTube videos 2 to 4 weeks ago. And again, this is based on feedback that was provided to Rlaarlo from those early testers. So one of the changes, obviously you can see how they just really run the wire nicely, and they've got it all bound, tied together. The wiring was not done as nice on the pre-release vehicles. I believe there was also some changes to the ESC. Not sure about the motor, not sure what other changes. There you just have a quick overview of what this looks like. Now you're gonna find a lot of the people using these and doing videos of just speed run, changing the gearing, showing you how they can get it to be faster and such. I'm gonna leave that to them. I'm gonna cover something that I don't think most of the others are going to be covering, and that is how different batteries can affect the handling of your vehicle. So let me just turn this a little this way for a minute. So this is the battery that it comes with. It is a 2-cell, 3300 milliamp, 35 sustained C output. I mentioned the word sustained for a particular reason. A lot of manufacturers will put C ratings that are not necessarily sustained. It is the maximum C output. So when you pull the trigger, the burst right then and there, and I mentioned that for a reason. First I tested it with this battery, and the second battery, just to get a comparison, I ran the Genzace Bashing 5200 milliamp. This is also 2S, it is also 35C. For the third battery, I ran this Power Hobby 7600 milliamp 75C. Now, you would think that you're going to get a much greater output with the 75C over the 35C. So you're going to get a faster speed, and that's not always the case, as you will see in the video. And you will see why when we get to the actual speeds that are sustained. So let's go ahead and get to that part of the video. All right, so we are outside now, and we're going to test this beautiful Rlaarlo AK-917. As I mentioned, going to be testing 3 batteries. You know, they are all 2S, and again, they are the 35C battery that is included with the AK-917. Also going to be running Gen's Ace bashing series. This one still 35C, but 5200 milliamps. So, you know, we'll see if there's any real difference between these two. And then finally, we're going to be testing the Power Hobby 7600 milliamp 75C. Definitely much more punch than the other two. So again, you know, this is not a speed test in sense of what, like I said, what the other channels are doing, you know, changing gearing, seeing how fast they can get it. This is just to show you what 2 different capacities of the same C output, as well as a higher C output, how they differ in performance. Okay, as you can see, we've got the car ready to go. Just a little, wow, that's got some quick acceleration. Okay, so gonna do a pass from left to right as well as from right to left, because it's not a perfectly flat road. So we're gonna basically get a top speed of each direction. We're gonna start with the uphill and then go with the downhill, and then do an average speed of both. Okay, so I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to get a reading. That was the uphill. Stop. Read. 42 miles an hour. That is with the stock battery uphill. Going to start it again. Just making sure it's reading. Yep. And we're going to go ahead and do the same thing, going slightly downhill. Alrighty, let's see what we can do. Alright, bring it back. .42, okay, so maybe my eyes are deceiving me. Maybe this really is flat. Kind of hard to tell out here in Las Vegas what streets are flat, what's uphill, slightly downhill. But we're going to call this one 42. And now we're going to go change the battery to the next battery. Now, something I want people to see is batteries and how wiring in different positions can cause a problem. So you're going to see here, this is the next battery up. It's the Gen's Ace bashing battery, and you can see that the wires in this position, you know, it's a little bit problem, as in impossible to put the battery tray down. In this position, gonna have to kind of put the balance wires on the outside, and then this is gonna be kind of difficult to get in a position because you can see it's actually pressing a little bit. So definitely be wary of the batteries that you get for this car, because you know, it's battery size is one thing, but the wire position is definitely gonna cause some problems for some batteries. So let me get this all set back up, and we'll do the testing on this battery. Okay, so as you saw, had a little bit of problem getting the Gens Ace bashing battery in. So we're going to start the GPS, and again, we're going to start with the supposed so-called uphill. So basically right to left first, then left to right. Again, this is a 35C battery, but the capacity is much greater, so hopefully it gives much more oomph. And we'll see what we got. Let's bring it on back. Now, one of the things I really like about this car so far is that it, I've just noticed it is tracking really nice and straight. And 43 miles an hour. I know not much of a difference, 1 mile an hour more, but that just does go to show that a larger capacity does give the ability for a faster speed, even at the same C rating. So we're gonna start her again, and gonna go send her up this way. Now, based on the first testing, I'm going to suspect that the speed will be the same going downhill, but you never know. So there we go. Oh wow, got a nice power slide there. As of course, you see all these tread marks on the ground for real cars that were doing some very interesting things. Alrighty, so let's see what we got here. And 43 miles an hour. Let's go switch batteries and get that 75C power hobby in. Okay, so in getting ready to put the power hobby battery in, something I noticed, and I want everyone to see this. So you can see that technically the wires of these two batteries are in the exact same position. Matter of fact, the case that they're using may even be the same case. I don't know. But notice the difference. So the Gens Ace bashing battery, the wires come, not perfectly straight up, but pretty close to it. You'll notice I would definitely not be able to, because coming out, basically it's trying to go straight back into the hinge for the battery door. So for this battery, even though again it does have the wires in the exact same position, you can actually run it this way. So let me close her up and we'll get to testing this battery. Okay, so finally for the third battery, we have the Power Hobby 75C 7600 milliamp. The key point is the first two batteries were both 35C. This one is 75C. So now we're going to see what kind of difference there is on this. Of course, it would also it would help if I started up the GPS. We're going to get it a little down the road. Make sure there's no cars coming, because I just see a car that just made a right turn and is heading this way. Oh boy. Oh, hit something. And the car did jump, but she's still moving. I must have just hit a lip or possibly a manhole cover. I do see there's a couple, few of them actually around here in different positions. But that's okay, because she's still running. And 43, interesting. I would have thought that the 75C would have given it more punch, but maybe not. Let's head on up this way, and we'll do a little run coming the opposite direction. Oh, hold on. Got something going on with the steering here, and I'm not sure what, so hold on. Okay, so that one was my fault. I forgot to strap down the GPS reader. Let's try that one again. Oh, second car already turned off. So let's go ahead and give her a second try. So that just goes to show you, definitely, when you're doing speed runs or anything that you add something inside a vehicle, you know, you do want to make sure that it is always strapped down. There we go. And whatever I hit that first time with the third battery, I took it the same route, and it definitely was one of the manhole covers, because I hit it again. That's okay. And 43 miles an hour. Go figure. So maybe the C really doesn't have a huge impact on it, but I'm gonna hit start and we're gonna take it on up the road to the left side. Looks like I got my steering trim off just a little bit. There we go. I must have just knocked the trim off a little too much, and when I tried to adjust it, it was far away. I adjusted it a little too much. Just simple as that. Okay, so we're getting it up in position while this car goes by. And here we go. Alrighty. Bring it on in for a landing. Okay, we're back at the table now. And we've still got this gorgeous Porsche 917 inspired body. You know, and as you can see, there's no damage to the body, thankfully. You know, as I showed you in the little beginning part, got a few little scrapes here. You know, as you saw in the video, basically went over the manhole cover, and that kind of caused it to jump, and when it dipped down into the lower part, it probably pressed the suspension down, and that's what scraped this, probably on a couple of the letterings or something. No big deal. So why don't I have a chassis protector on? That would be because Rlaarlo forgot to send it. I do recommend ordering at least a few, have, you know, a couple of extras on hand, because once they start peeling, especially when they start peeling up either around here or around here, then they are going to continue peeling even faster. If you want to truly keep it protected, you need to make sure that anywhere from here all the way up and all the way to here, that stays adhered. That is when you want to remove it and replace it. One of the things that I'm going to definitely recommend when you get one, when it arrives, is you want to check all the screws. And I don't just mean the bottom, I mean you really want to check everything, because most of the metal to metal, they did Loctite as they should. However, I'm pretty sure this was safe just from my initial testing. There's 3 screws here to only have 1, and I'll say 1 for a reason. So that one was missing. I took the one from here, put it there. This one, the hex head was slightly stripped. They also used excess Loctite on that one, so it was real hard to get out, and my fault. I forgot to screw it completely back in when I went to do the testing, so it kind of came out on its own. I do have it still, not a worry, I didn't lose it. But, you know, gonna replace, you know, I'll put this one back here, I'll replace this one and this one with my own spare ones. But again, I do recommend checking all the screws. Anything that is metal to metal, make sure it's Loctited. If it's to plastic, as a lot of these are, just check them, check the tightness, because literally, I would say at least half of them were not properly tightened. You know, I went over everything here. I went over, you know, the screws holding the shocks, everything that I could access without taking it apart, I checked. And again, as I said, at least 50% of the screws were not tight. Also, forget this one. The shock oil. You know, they're rushing these out as fast as they can. They're doing the best job they possibly can, but everything is not 100%. For example, I don't know if you can hear this, but that shock was not properly bled. I don't know if it's missing oil or if it's just that it wasn't properly bled. So you're going to want to check your shocks, your diffs. So you are definitely going to want to check over everything on these cars. Not because I don't trust Rlaarlo. That has nothing to do with it. It's a new vehicle that's just coming out, and they are trying to pump these out as quickly as possible while simultaneously doing the best job they possibly can. Mistakes are going to be made. We're human. I mean, that's just a fact of it. So just check everything. Something else. So you may have seen in some of the earlier, pre-release unit videos, some of them were talking about removing this tire and, to save, because it's, especially with the carbon fiber one, the wheels are metal, not plastic, they're aluminum. But just the excess rear weight that this adds. Do not, I repeat, do not. I actually did remove it and tested it out, and what I discovered is that this whole rear piece relies on this tire, this wheel and tire being there, because that is, I took it out, and I mean, literally, I could move this whole thing probably about this far. I mean, it's not that it's flimsy. That's not it. It's just that, these pieces are not the stiffest plastic. This piece here is very strong. It's got the ribbing, but, between here and these pieces, and it's literally just 2 screws that are holding it, all of this is one piece, and so it will move. So you need to keep the wheel in there. But here's the good part, especially if you're running the carbon fiber, do yourself a favor, get the plastic mounted wheels, keep them as backup, and just put that there. It'll lessen the weight of the rear end, and simultaneously it will keep all of this stiff. Now, just one trick I learned also, putting the body on, you think you're just going to put it straight down. No. You're going to actually want to hook the rear end underneath that, and then you can lower the body on. Overall impressions. What do I think? Honestly, I love it. This thing is fantastic. Some of the parts. So, you'll notice that the suspension arms, upper and lower on the front, lower on the rear, plastic. You can notice that the uprights, the steering knuckles, the hubs, also all plastic. They do offer machined aluminum for many parts. Would I recommend machined aluminum for the suspension arms? No. But for the uprights, the hubs, the steering knuckles, those I probably would. Primarily because they will hold the bearings much better. There won't be any flex changing the shape. It's going to be a lot better all around. There are other parts that are plastic that they do offer aluminum. You'll have to look in the manual. And for all those aluminum parts that I'm talking about, so, this is the so-called instruction manual. One of the really nice things they did is they included these exploded views of the car, right down to even the differentials. But, there's replacement parts. But when you get to page 20, this is where you start seeing a full listing of the replacement parts. And then, once you get to page 26, this is where you start seeing all the option parts. The aluminum front upper suspension arms, the lower suspension arms. You got the hubs. You got the wheels in different colors. The bulkheads. Another thing that I would highly recommend is getting the aluminum bulkheads. Obviously, going to hold the diffs much stronger. The adjustable motor mounts, much stronger than the stock motor mounts. Now, if you look back here, stock motor mount's fairly simple. It's going to use just 2 screws to hold it in place. The adjustable 4 screws, it's going to be a lot stronger. It's going to give you finer control. They do offer different motors as well. Although true speedrunners, you're not going to be running the Rlaarlo stuff. You're going to be getting, Castle, Hobby Wing, TP. If you really want power, TP. And then they also include information about the speed challenge. Supposedly. There's no actual information about the speed challenge. The first page gives you differences between the vehicles, as I covered in early video. And then it just goes over, again, some of the upgrade parts. That's really all it is. And then, of course, they cover their other cars. So, honestly, this useless. This, don't lose it. It's got all the information. If you have any problems, it tells you how to troubleshoot it. For example, something I should have mentioned. When I first turned the vehicle on, discovered that the radio and the receiver were not bound. Turn the radio on, turn the receiver on. Steering, nothing. Throttle, nothing. It wasn't bound. And the other thing is to get to how to bind it. The receiver, the bind button is down inside. You're going to need to get something with an angle to push that button so that when you press it and hold it, then press and hold the power button to turn it on, puts the receiver in binding mode. But I was a little surprised to discover that the receiver was not bound to the radio. Other than that, I think Rlaarlo did a fantastic job on designing, developing this vehicle. Although at the same time, many thanks have to go out to all of the YouTubers, Kevin, Roz, I forget who else, but just all the YouTubers that received the pre-production versions of these that were able to help Rlaarlo in fine-tuning everything about it so that then, they could make the changes that were needed. Again, obviously it causes some delays, so those of you who are going to be ordering the vehicle, again, slight delay. Those who do the pre-orders, again, slight delay. But please don't blame Rlaarlo. Don't start accusing them of stealing your money. I've seen some of the comments in a number of the videos and on the Facebook page where they are just bashing Rlaarlo for what they're considering as problems, when the truth is that Rlaarlo has been working hard to refine the product to get rid of any problems that there were with it, to make it a truly usable and enjoyable product. Something you should be asking yourself is, would you rather a company release a product that they know has problems just so they can get it out? Or would you rather wait a little bit longer because they're fine-tuning those problems, getting rid of them, so they can give you the product that you truly deserve? Honestly, I would much rather have a product that has the problems resolved. For those who are going to complain, they're going to complain no matter what. To the rest of you, have a little patience and you will receive yours. Just enjoy it, have fun. And if you get the chance to participate in their speed challenge, all the better. There you have the Rlaarlo AK-917. Mahalo, and until next time.